My name is Martin Schoeller. I'm co-chairman of Schoeller Industries Munich. Schoeller Industries Munich is focused on sustainability in industrial processes. We're doing three things: returnable packaging, recycling, and renewable energies, which goes into renewable resources. We went around and told our licensees around the world that we are there and that we would like to offer some innovation to them and new technical solutions, and they said, we are not interested. We like to remember your father's time. He was a great pioneer. My father was the inventor of the plastic crate, and he has substituted with plastic bottom the very traditional wooden boxes and barrels that we made in the past. Yeah? But we can do it now. Except if you, in your home country, show us something totally new that we have not seen and that we'll be very astonished about. And at that time it was only an engineering firm with a little pilot plant, and in our own country, Germany, we were not allowed to make business because the company was sold, the factory was sold with a non-compete clause. So the family said, well, we cannot do something there. And you should stay in the consulting and engineering business and not risk too much money in industry. And then my brother and me, we started an industry on our own. We convinced the customer, which was the Heineken brewery at the time, to make a large down payment, and the machine suppliers to supply us over time. And before having taken an heritage, we built our own factory and became successful. And then we proposed to our family, look, it's very needed that we prove the case here. Shall you buy us out, or shall we buy you out? And they accepted this in a friendly way. But it needed some revolutionary steps. Coming from our company, I would say a waste-free and emission-free world is possible. It's possible. It's not an utopia, and now you can say it becomes too expensive. No, it doesn't become too expensive because so I must say more specific. It's possible without sacrificing standard of living. Waste-free and emission-free world. And how to make environmental solution, climate, CO2 coming down by 2050. Really down by 80%, otherwise the climate effects we want to are too much endangered. Yeah, we need to convert 4% of our conventional energy into energy generation into non-carbon generating energy. 3% for growth and 1% for substitution. I think it's possible, and it was very, very well done that the feeding-in tariffs make this possible, and I hope that politicians will stay on it, but I think the commitment is there. I say there's two ways to become sustainable as a planet. Yeah, one, the solutions that are economically self-sustaining. Second, the solutions that are more expensive than current technology. And for the second group of solutions, like filtering air, filtering water, not using certain materials, and the expensive renewable energy that only later on gets cheaper. You need a legal framework. So it's very easy. What self-sustains economy can do, and where we entrepreneurs can do something that emotionally helps us, financially helps us, and gives sense to society. And where it's more expensive, we have consensus that we need the lawmaker. And by the way, all these shake-ups of the last 2 or 3 years gave a much higher willingness to accept a sort of partnership between government and economy. And on the way to turn into an environmental world, we need this partnership. We can only be using environmental technologies if the rule that competitors also have to comply with. And I think we have to go further. That's one of the things that I want to argue with the European Trade Commissioner, and I have a meeting with him in January. Say, it's no use going with your company over the border where some environmental rules don't apply, and then supply back the products with no environmental care. People are now aware of children work and fair trade. Okay, they get a fair trade stamp, but what was the ecological standards? So I say we can only protect the ecologic and social standards that we have been building up if we make them part of our international trade contracts. We are now launching with a foundation called Desert Food a project to use solar energy for water desalination, using desalinated water for irrigation and to make agricultural land possible in the desert, which will create jobs and food and water and so on. We are all afraid that the 9 billion people to come will create scarcity, and that scarcity will even create unrest and fight for resources, and that peace on earth is endangered if too many fight for a limited place. And I have seen that the Desert Tech initiative that wants to extract electricity from Africa for Europe has very big difficulties to get started. And the one thing that is lacking in Desert Tech so far, even though they're thinking about it, but in the communication it's not there yet, is what is Desert Tech doing for Africa? Yeah? And why is it good for them that solar farms are being built? And if you say it's good for them because it makes electricity, they will say no. No, that's not good, because that price of electricity is much higher than the price that we pay for gas or oil-based electricity generation, so that's not the point. And I was thinking of something, how solar energy can be used, transformed into another currency that is not calculable with the price of electricity and that is useful. And if we use solar energy to desalinate water, people are afraid that water will be in shortage, yeah? Then you can think that technically there will not necessarily be a water shortage. There's only 3% of the surface of the desert enough for the energy of the world. You put another 3%, you can flood the world with desalinated water. And it costs something to make a water sweet. It costs, at the moment, $2 per 1,000 liters, and it goes down to $1. And that is the consumption of a highly industrialized person per day. If you're a non-industrialized country, you only consume 3 liters per day, which you need to drink. But $1 per day in person is not too much. It's not too much. These people don't need to heat. We have to heat in the north. So I'm thinking that if we use solar energy, where there is enough in a space which is plentiful there and which is not scarce, in order to make food, jobs, water, also renewable raw materials, which is used for paper, plastics can be made out of sugar, and biofuels, we can initiate a big picture solution. We are calculating the business model, and we're working together with the university to find out if all the steps to get there can be so highly optimized. That's where German technology is then popular in the southern countries, that by adding up all the efficiencies, the outcome in a total system is so efficient that in the end it could even be economically viable. That's an investment that gets paid by agricultural products. If not, it needs to be shared between an infrastructure part and an economic part of the investment. That's what we're trying to find out. When this comes, we would like to sell it in the Arab region first, where money is there, to do something spectacular like greening the desert, and then see if this can be multiplied into Africa. That is, again, something where the idea comes first in order to help where poverty is, to help what is a big worry of human beings. And if a business comes out, nice. If not, still, it's very valid to work on it. From the company, we formed the foundation. People in the company are working on it. It's a non-profit. And we are mid in the process to work out a detailed concept and then to make presentations in the Gulf states. And we are open because we thought this topic is so big that one cannot do it as a mid-sized company. Yeah, we are in the 1 billion sales area, so this you need to be a Siemens to do it. Yeah, but if you are a foundation, you're suddenly very powerful, Because foundation is not trying to dominate, it's trying to give something, and then the idea becomes strong. We have a saying in the entrance of our office, nothing is stronger than an idea whose time has come. And a foundation can push an idea. I want to add this. I have a great-grandfather who was a pioneer for electricity in Bavaria, Oskar von Miller. And he said, my dream is, I think in every cow stable there should be electric light. And they thought he was crazy. But it became true. Today in Northern Europe, of course, that's the case. And somebody is asking, why is this so special? Yeah? And just to formulate a crazy idea and go for it, and then the foundation is a nice way that people don't consider you completely crazy. But even though we heard today, it's not bad to be considered crazy.